Her gaze locked with mine over the table, and she calmly stated, "I have no regrets." Her words didn't hurt as much as she might have intended. Instead, they validated what I had already suspected. The woman facing me was no longer my wife, not in the ways that truly mattered. She might still wear the wedding ring or share my surname, but loyalty, respect, and even basic kindness were things of the past. In their place stood this hardened version of her, casually sipping Pinot Noir as if this were an ordinary Tuesday evening. I mirrored her action, taking slow sips of my wine, not to steady my nerves, they were already gone, but to extend the moment, appreciating the irony of it all. She had no clue what this night truly represented. She thought it was a desperate attempt to salvage our failing marriage, perhaps even expecting tears. Instead, she got stoic silence. Discourse on our past, the children, pledges, perhaps even a request for another opportunity. Yet, she erred. This wasn't about salvation, it was a farewell. A waiter, a young, jittery lad in a poorly fitting vest, approached to take our orders. She politely acknowledged him and agreed. I requested more time, not because I desired to peruse the menu. I was aware I wouldn't be consuming anything that evening. Yet, she didn't need to be informed of that. Turning back to me, she swirled her wine as if analyzing its texture. "Could we be truthful for a moment?" she queried, her voice casual, hinting at amusement. "You were aware, weren't you? You must have had your suspicions." I had been cognizant. I admitted as much. It was the reality. I had harbored doubts months prior. The covert gym sessions that left her immaculate in makeup. The fresh lingerie that never graced our bedroom. The diminishing physical intimacy, like a kiss might leave an unwelcome taste on her lips. Indeed. Dear friends, if you enjoy this story, please like and subscribe to our channel. It will motivate us to make more videos like this for you. I sensed I knew, I verified. She misunderstood my composure as denial. "So I thought," she said, a hint of smugness tugging at her lips. "You've always seemed like one who'd prefer to dwell in blissful oblivion rather than face the truth, maintaining an image." I remained unfazed. This was her tactic, to taunt, provoke, and twist. When you don't react, she loses her footing. But I stayed composed. Her smugness lessened somewhat. The restaurant was cozy, refined, private. It had a soft jazz trio in the corner and napkins shaped like origami. I selected it because I wanted it to be tranquil, managed. I also wanted her to feel this was a date, a fresh start. She dressed for it, a snug black dress, curled hair, a scent of perfume I hadn't smelled in months. However, I wasn't there for the performance. "I understand what you're saying might sound harsh," she continued, "but I don't feel remorseful. I don't think I ever will." I nodded, took another leisurely sip, and set the glass down carefully. "I trust your words." She seemed taken aback. She anticipated a dispute or warning. Instead, she encountered silence, which troubled her. "Aren't you going to inquire why?" she queried. "No." "Won't you express anything?" she asked, her voice turning tense. "I suppose not at the moment," I replied, glancing at my watch. This caused her to look at my wrist and then back at me, displaying confusion. "Good." She moved closer. "You brought me here so I could." "What?" she inquired. "To remain quiet while you act superior," I countered, maintaining eye contact. "No. I brought you here because I wanted you to have a tranquil setting where you could express whatever was on your mind, let it out, feel strong, in command. Apologies, because I knew tonight would be the last night you'd ever feel like that." Her eyes narrowed. "Do you think you're intimidating me?" "No. Intimidation is for those who haven't yet acted." I could see it now, that hint of uncertainty. Deep within her, a gut feeling stirred, suggesting she might not have the upper hand this evening. She was about to speak, but I halted her with a raised hand, saying, "Go ahead," with a calm tone. "I'll let you talk now," I added, extracting a small, napkin-sized envelope from my jacket and placing it on the table. Her name clearly written in elegant cursive on its surface. "What's this?" she queried, her voice slightly softened. "Something you should read later at home." "You're being mysterious and theatrical, perhaps," I said, standing up and pushing my chair in. Or maybe I simply know that by daybreak, you'll plead for forgiveness." She snorted, her eyes rolling. I exited before she could complete her laughter. Let her savor the wine, the soothing jazz trio, and the delusion of maintaining control. Soon enough, it would all crumble, and by morning, it wouldn't be her enjoying the wine, but instead drowning in regret. Betrayal is often portrayed as if it occurs in a specific instant, but for me, it was a gradual drip. A faint whisper in the backdrop of our marriage that I couldn't quite pinpoint. It wasn't until I realized I was already sinking that I understood something was amiss. Initially, it was minor infractions such as overlooked messages or unreturned kisses. The vacant gaze when I discussed my day was another clue. In the beginning, I attributed these occurrences to stress due to our demanding jobs and lengthy working hours. Yet, her busy schedule should have served as a warning sign. However, I chose not to be overly suspicious, the concerned spouse. Instead, I justified, excused, and reassured myself that every couple experiences dry spells, especially after 8 years of marriage. Then came the gym membership, something she hadn't used since our honeymoon. But I didn't want to be the paranoid husband, so I overlooked it. She visited 4 times weekly, often around 8 p.m., adorned with complete makeup. I made one humorous remark about this. One, and she viciously responded, "Can't I prioritize my own well-being without you transforming it into something negative?" Negative. That word echoed within me. This was a recurring theme with her. Whenever I asked a question, it suggested mistrust. If I mentioned an issue, it implied control. If I revealed pain, it meant insecurity. She was adept at flipping the perspective, causing me to doubt myself as she vanished deeper into the shadows. But mirrors don't deceive forever. It was a Sunday afternoon when the first shatter appeared. Her phone lay on the counter with its screen up while she was showering. Typically, I wouldn't have touched it. I'm not proud of my actions. Yet, when the display lit and I saw Eric's speech balloon with a message preview, asterisk, asterisk, still thinking about last night, sending a kiss, asterisk, asterisk, something within me fractured. I didn't even open it. She emerged from the shower, humming and wrapped in a towel with wet hair, caught me eyeing her phone. Initially, her expression remained unaltered. However, upon noticing my gaze and the way I looked at her, she stiffened. She claimed to have gone through my phone, she asserted. "Not that's not what you think," she insisted. "Not that I can explain, not even who Eric is. No." Instead of defensiveness, she launched an immediate counterattack. I held up my hands in surrender and didn't open anything, only saw the message. "You had no right," was her response. That's what she said, without apology or suggestion to discuss it further. I acknowledged with a nod. Yes, that was the moment I realized. Not merely that she was unfaithful, for which I could have found forgiveness, perhaps. Not just that she lied, no. What struck me was the ease and nonchalance of it all, as if breaking our vow held less significance than canceling a dinner reservation, as if I was the one at fault for noticing. The following weeks were a haze. She attempted to act normally, inquired about my shopping list, spent time on Netflix as if all was well. However, a sense of detachment had taken hold within me. I attended work, smiled when required, played the role. Yet, I was constructing traps within. Installed a surveillance camera in our living room, allegedly for package security. She didn't raise questions. I ensured backups of our shared drive and messages, her emails. All done quietly, legally. I started noticing patterns, her mood swings, excuses, even the scent that filled the house when she returned home. A lot can be learned by ceasing to react, and instead, observing. I refrained from another confrontation since I wasn't seeking an apology. Rather, I was preparing for a resolution. The decisive clue came from an unexpected source, her sister Melanie. She phoned me one evening, slightly intoxicated, her voice laced with remorse. She admitted she couldn't bear the deception any longer and that she didn't approve of her sister's actions. However, family ties were strong. "Look at her email," she advised. Examined her event folder. Found it there. Contained dinner reservations, hotel bookings, falsified work trips, messages to a contact named Ray. Discovered Ray wasn't female. It was an alias. traced the number, identified him as Eric Randolph, Melanie's junior colleague, 10 years younger. His Instagram filled with gym selfies, crypto discussions, and motivational quotes. Seems like he lived by hustle hard, cheat harder. Didn't approach her yet. That night, I sat on the porch sipping whiskey, gazing at a sky that seemed more sincere than anything in my marriage for months. No tears, no rage. Just made a resolution. If she was playing her role, so could I. And when the truth eventually surfaced, I'd ensure everyone knew who the actual culprit was. Melanie's tip marked the start. It signified the beginning. Once I confirmed Eric's identity and connected the dots through emails and calendar invitations, everything became clear. They had been cautious, but not cautious enough. She had reserved a room for an off-site business meeting in the city, but the hotel was far from her office location. It was a covert boutique hotel, characterized by its discreet nature and private services like no cameras at the front desk and room service that respected privacy tags on doors. I took my time gathering evidence. I printed emails, snapped calendar logs, recorded IP addresses, and her messages to Ray were proof enough of her intentions. Pretending to be her concerned spouse, I showed my ID at the hotel's reception and obtained the necessary dates and room confirmations. It wasn't illegal. It was simply convincing. However, the video was the piece de resistance. When Melanie mentioned the events folder clue, she also hinted at something else that stuck with me. She boasted about how you can never escape and claimed you were too passive. Even if you found out, you wouldn't know what to do. The situation transitioned from betrayal to power play. She didn't just infidel, she speculated on my inaction. That act was my invitation. I understood that to terminate this, it wasn't sufficient to depart discreetly. It required making her confront the debris of what she had constructed. To experience the silence as I had, but this time not as a victim, as an observer of her own downfall. So I approached someone who I was owed a favor. His name is Jordan, a college pal who manages a tech security company. In return for my assistance during his challenging physics semester, when his father was ill, he hadn't forgotten. What you're requesting, he said thoughtfully, is legal if it's installed in your own residence. I am. You want audio or video? Both, he agreed, without any queries. In 3 days, a voice-activated camera, discreetly positioned on our bedroom bookshelf, was installed. In disguise at a room's charging station, her preferred hideout for private conversations, she found herself there again on that Thursday evening. I had deceived her about my work commitment, and indeed, I wasn't there. Instead, I sat idle in my car, hidden behind a florist shop 4 blocks away, where all I could see was the steering wheel and my phone's live stream. She returned home between 7:12 p.m., adorning the red dress that she seldom wore in my presence. At exactly 7:31, Eric arrived. I observed as they exchanged affectionate gestures in the hallway, her comfortably planting kisses on his neck, and him addressing her as babe. She expressed her astonishment at my lingering ignorance of their affair. Laughter followed, a sound that was their shared amusement. Yet, it wasn't just the deceit or the physical intimacy that cut me deep. It was that laugh a mockery, a contempt that they were enjoying at my expense. I chose to wait until they had both drifted off to sleep before taking any action. In silence, I entered through the back entrance and retrieved the SD cards. The content, safely stored with duplicates for me, my attorney, and Eric's girlfriend, who it turns out exists. We wrote about him recently, tagging him as #futurehubby. Unearthing her LinkedIn profile was simple enough. She works in marketing, just like the company we previously covered. I had more plans. In the subsequent 2 weeks, I tread lightly. I consulted a reputable lawyer, disclosed the situation, shared the proof, and drafted divorce documents. I transferred funds from our joint account to my secure personal one, ensuring no illegal activities. I stopped automatic payments on her credit cards and canceled subscriptions like Netflix, Spotify, and her frequent spa visits, which she seemed to prefer over our bedroom. I revised my will, altered my work emergency contact, stored sentimental items such as photos, keepsakes, and my father's watch, moved them away, all without her suspicion. She was engrossed in playing house with Eric as I quietly arranged the foundation for her future, a spectacle of poetic irony. The climax was our dinner date. I meticulously selected the venue upscale yet intimate, providing comfort while subtly emphasizing my affection. She perceived it as a surrender. She believed I sought her return. This is why she donned a black dress and managed to smile upon saying, "I have no regrets." Unaware of the plans I had set in motion, she remained composed when I didn't react. By daybreak, she would inhabit an entirely different realm, one of her own making, one from which she could not free herself. That evening, she did not text me. I anticipated this outcome. Perhaps she was upset, or perhaps she was still pondering over our conversation. By dawn, you'll plead for mercy. Or maybe, on a deeper level, she sensed the truth. By midnight, her call arrived. 12:47 am I chose to let it ring unanswered. 1:14 am, another call followed by a text. What's your action? Just greetings. Greetings, what's happening? Nothing much. Fear had begun to stir. I settled back in my chair, holding a glass of bourbon, and waited. The next message came through at 1:14 am. Why is my card being declined? This brought a smile to my face. Then another, more urgent text arrived. My Uber account is locked. What's going on? I remained silent, opting for the silence she usually avoided. At 2:08 am, an email arrived with the subject line, "Talk to me." I ignored it. I was already forwarding all messages to my lawyer. The true impact didn't arrive until morning at 8:03 am, when I emailed her supervisor and HR department, attaching hotel receipts for supposed client meetings with timestamps that coincided with company hours. Screenshots of messages between her and Eric, discussing dodging work and making fun of clients, were included, with the topic line being ethics violation and misuse of company resources. 2 hours later, she was put on administrative leave. By 11 am, I received a LinkedIn message from Eric's girlfriend, Julia, who is also Noak's girlfriend. Her message was brief. I saw everything. He's out. You're not alone. I didn't respond. She had already dealt with him. By noon, our shared calendar, used for scheduling her fake meetings, had two new events: an attorney meeting for divorce filing and storage pickup, both marked as personal items only. She didn't attend either event. Instead, she repeatedly called. I ignored every call. Then came the final voicemail at 1:17 p.m., long and emotional. Please just talk to me. I don't know what's happening. Okay? I'm falling apart. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking clearly, I thought. Initially, I believed you no longer cared. I thought you had withdrawn. Your recent aloofness made me think you wouldn't even notice. Then, you grew quiet and choked up. I never meant to cause pain. I didn't intend for things to escalate so much. All I'm asking is, please, can we just have a conversation? Just one opportunity, please. I'm pleading with you. Suddenly, the thing she once swore would never happen appeared begging. I replayed it once, just to compare your voice now with the one across that dinner table. It was almost poetic, but I wasn't done yet. At 2:30 p.m., you came to the house, knocked, rang the bell, called my name. I watched from the upstairs window as you stood on the porch, tears running, phone clutched tightly like a lifeline. You looked so small, so different from the woman who once smiled across a cloth-covered table and said she had no regrets. I waited. You knocked again. Please. Can we talk? Just for 5 minutes. I let you sit in the silence. I wanted you to feel it. After allowing it to sink in, I eventually opened the door, not for conversation, but to conclude matters. She raised her eyes, startled, with tears and smeared eyeliner, indicating desperation. She thanked me swiftly, moving towards me. I held up a hand. I wasn't there to reconcile, argue, or forgive. She halted. I wasn't there to yell or fight. Her face fell. Why, she asked, who are you? I responded slowly, I am here to return what belongs to you. I gave her a box, not large, just a cardboard container containing her wedding ring, an extra house key, and a copy of the divorce documents. On top, I placed one last envelope. What's this? She asked quietly. Your own words, I replied. Inside the envelope were printed texts, emails, calendar invites, photos, every excuse, every lie. I didn't want you to forget who wrote this narrative. She opened her mouth, but nothing emerged, just a low, broken sigh. I stepped back inside and shut the door quietly, without any shouting or slamming. Closure was all that was needed. I thought I'd feel angry, but I didn't. Victorious, perhaps, yet calmness was all I felt. I didn't annihilate her. Instead, she faced the underestimated me, the one who doesn't pursue, but observes from afar with unwavering gaze and a glass of wine, already aware. By dawn, she'd plead for forgiveness, and I wouldn't need to utter a single word. The last time I saw her was through a window. She stood in the driveway for about 20 minutes after I closed the door. Unlike expected, she didn't cry as I imagined. Or maybe she did, but not the way she did in that voicemail, not the frantic, despairing kind of sobs. This was a quieter form of sorrow. Perhaps someone gazes when they realize they are already drowning, and no one is coming to save them. Eventually, she got into her car and departed. She left behind the box. I kept it on the porch overnight, untouched. In the morning, I moved it to the edge of the yard and placed a small note atop it. Return to ashes. It rained that day. Upon her return, the contents were drenched. This time, I chose not to observe her. Instead, I listened to the gravelly sound of tires, the metallic clang of a door slamming, and the soggy peeling of cardboard from wet pavement. She didn't bother knocking again. And so, the episode concluded. There was no dramatic argument, no infidelity with a sibling or yard arson. Just stillness, accuracy, something much more crushing than anger annihilation. One would assume that would be sufficient, wouldn't they? Divorce papers signed, finances divided, public images, if not tarnished, at least marred. I could have left that past behind, but there was one final task remaining. It wasn't merely about her actions. It was about the person she attempted to mold me into, the powerless spouse, the unaware doormat, the dull backup option to be endured until something more compelling arrives. The one who could be deceived, manipulated, and cast aside, still hoping he'd return, take my hand, and plead for another shot. That old self of mine is gone. It perished the moment she declared, "I have no regrets." Thus, I penned something down. Not a manifesto, not an angry online rant. Simply a letter. To his parents, to Eric's girlfriend, to my family, those who suspected something amiss, but chose not to intrude. It was brief. It conveyed, I choose not to defend her actions, nor mine. What transpired between us is history. No further discussion needed. If you seek answers, question her. If she speaks truthfully, you'll understand everything. If she lies, you'll know even more. Daniel, I sent it, then deactivated the email account we shared, canceled our joint phone plan, changed all my passwords, and deleted our wedding pictures from my cloud backup, not out of vengeance, but because I didn't want to preserve the charade. I kept one copy, just one, and stashed it away in a secure drive before I was fully aware. The house seems less burdened now. I didn't sell it. I chose not to renovate it. Instead, I refurbished it. Minor changes, such as displaying my own artworks rather than her trendy decorations, and cooking meals outside of popular diets. Silence in the evenings is now a sense of peace, not punishment. Sometimes I sit on the back porch with a drink, listening to the wind whisper through the trees, an activity I used to engage in when she was present, but then it felt like an escape. Now it feels like returning home. She occasionally sends texts, nothing serious, just checking up and expressing missed affection. I don't respond because not every message warrants a reply. It's not out of cruelty, but some messages simply don't need answers. People are often astounded when they ask, the few who know the whole story, that I don't loathe her. I wish her no harm. I merely comprehend now that I was never the vulnerable one. I was the tempest she failed to perceive, the calm man who didn't shout, as he had no necessity. When she murmured softly over the dinner table, I have no regrets whatsoever, I responded with a smile, since I was aware that by morning she would discover the bitter taste of genuine remorse.